suspended. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. Thank you very much for that one there, Ian Wright. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. Big good evening to those of you in the United Kingdom. Shameless plug, but at the time of making this vid, obviously I've got my North London derby, preview sorted. I've got my favorite up tapping Tobes that comes out at 8:30 UK time. So depending on when I've actually decided to release this video, people, obviously make sure you hit that up and get your other fix and check out the rest of my transfer videos that I've dropped. There's a playlist and just football in general. Don't forget to comment, people, either in the live chat or in the comment section. Make sure you're turning on your subscription better yet button. Make sure you got your notifications on and all that good stuff, and I hope you and your loved ones are in good health. Now again, you lot know it's January. We're firmly in the thick of January, where from a footballing point of view there's plenty of talking points. North London derby on Sunday, but where transfer news is concerned, again, it just entertains us if nothing more. Some reports look more tangible than others. Mudryk to Arsenal, obviously there's some legs in that. Every now and again we're linked with Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Milinkovic Savic, so on and so forth, in it, people. So if nothing more, it provides talking points. The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. So allow me to share my screen with you guys, people. First things first, again, comment at any time, people. It's an all-inclusive platform. Again, together we got to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube and just over 6,000 on Twitch. Make sure you're following on everything. Journalist makes interesting Milinkovic Savic claim amid Arsenal interest. Ben Jacobs has told the Football Terrace that Milinkovic Savic leaving Lazio on loan during the January transfer window is not entirely out of the question amid interest in the midfielder from Arsenal. The Gunners are yet to make a signing in this window, and it would appear that they are concentrating a large amount of their efforts on bringing Mudryk to the Emirates, people. But they have been linked with other names, and one of the players on the radar is Milinkovic Savic. Reports from Italy in December suggested that Arsenal led the race to sign the 44 million rated Serbian, and there were reports we bidded for him in January. As I've always said, I'm very pessimistic on anything that links our players going to Italy or us buying players. We've been taken around the houses for several player, people. And he's always been linked with Premier League clubs and not necessarily made the move. As we know, he is contracted until 2024. My own opinion in that it's kind of summer or nothing, but you never know. Money can make things happen. The same outlet then suggested this month that Arsenal and another Premier League side are in contact with the agent of Milinkovic Savic. It looks like he could be going Juventus. Again, there's a lot of chess being played and games being played between Milinkovic Savic's entourages, interested clubs that he might want to go to. So take everything with a pinch of salt. The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. Milinkovic Savic has been outstanding allegedly for Lazio this season, as it would be, contracted until 2024, 27 years of age. Apparently, Jacobs cannot see a club being able to sign Milinkovic Savic permanently this month. Again, Lazio are still trying to achieve whatever they're trying to achieve in their season. He did hint that it's not inconceivable that he could secure an initial loan move. I think Milinkovic Savic has been on Arsenal and a number of clubs' radar for quite some time, but the challenge remains that Lazio have always been very reluctant to sell, and the quoted fee has been quite high. Previously, their president has said 120 million euros, so he would be available, in my opinion, for a significant discount, but they're going to play hardball. I'd be surprised. It's not impossible, but I'd be surprised if a permanent transfer in January was possible. But I don't think that alone is unthinkable, except for the fact that time is ticking away and Lazio's position hasn't hugely changed, people. And he would be a good signing for Arsenal. Carrying up the Milinkovic Savic theme, Arsenal told they can sign Milinkovic Savic this month in shock loan deal before £44 million transfer for United target. They've been told they could sign Milinkovic Savic on loan, according to reports. Let's see if it echoes the same thing, people. Not really. It just leaves the fact that he's contracted until 2024 and could be allowed to leave. As you know, it's difficult to bring people in January. We did have, we did bid for Danilo. We didn't get there. We didn't get there with Telemans. We didn't get there with Douglas Luiz. So maybe if Milinkovic Savic provides an option, it could be something that Arsenal go for. But again, we'll have to monitor reports, people. Arsenal ready to spend amid Mudryk and Telemans transfer talk as CEO delivers January transfer window update, says Chris Burton of Goal.com. Vinay Ventukasam says the club are ready to spend in January window amid links to Mudryk and Telemans, people. As you know, we invested, while not being able to bring in a winger or a centre mid, the Gunners invested heavily, or better yet, wisely, in the summer of 2022, we all saw Jesus Zinchenko Vieira drafted into Mikel Arteta's side. A productive campaign has seen the North London outfit move to the top of the Premier League table. Careful, people, I don't check the Premier League table. Let's just keep working hard, run a lot, praying and working in training and see where we're at in May. But greater depth can still be added to their ranks, as reports suggest that highly rated performers from Shakhtar Donetsk and Leicester City are being lined up. Allegedly, Vinay has said or told Sky Sports, "We have got a very clear plan headed up by Edu." Again, putting it at the feet of Edu like Mikel Arteta. Sorry, people. What we want to do is strengthen the squad. Every transfer window, of course, we're going to look to see what opportunities are out there. If something makes sense from a technical perspective and a financial perspective, of course, we'll look at it. We are happy with the squad that we have got, but of course, we'll have a look around in every single window. We have got a long-term plan to continue to strengthen the team. Now, he's basically kept his cards close to his chest like Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta regularly talks about he's happy with his squad, like every manager said. Xavi just said it in relation to the pay, but he then talked about, where we've only got one striker. We would like a couple of bodies. A few weeks ago, he did urge, in an ideal world, getting signings in sooner rather than later, really. If we were happy with our squad, playing devil's advocate, we wouldn't be going for Mudryk. No club would be signing people in January, whether that's loan signings or whatnot, because you're reacting. Maybe you're reacting to an opportunity like João Felix, where Chelsea are concerned, because a player's not been able to play at his club. That's an opportunity to bring in a player, or you're trying to cope with injuries or pick up where you left off in the summer, which obviously we failed to get a centre mid and we failed to get a winger. Obviously, in the summer, it seemed like we'd get both, and then it kind of shifted towards the centre mid towards the tail end of the transfer window with, I believe, El Nene and Partey injured. Obviously, with Gabriel Jesus' injury, with the need to probably have something different in the squad to Saka and Martinelli to rest them and compete with them and things like that, that has probably forced the needle on the vast majority of reports, especially because the fact of, regardless of what Mudryk is, it just seems like that's a player that could be signing for Arsenal. It has kind of shifted to a wide man. If we could bring in a midfielder, a central midfielder, I would love it, because I like what Xhaka and Partey bring, and I like how El Nene, in my opinion, is third in command. Past that, we haven't really got that. And although they can all still play for a number of years, you look in our defensive options, you look at the numerous attacking options at Arsenal, they're in their best years, or their best years are going to be in seasons to follow. You look at Xhaka, Partey, and El Nene, there's not really that longevity. They're very much here for the present. The one guy that we have that kind of falls exception to the rules of that is obviously Lokonga, who isn't exactly convincing at this moment in time, but we back him all the time. So it doesn't surprise me that Vinay would say that, really and truly. But if we can, probably, you get me a winger in the centre mid, I'm kind of cool with that, really. In an ideal world, I've said I would like a striker between now and the summer. Would like a striker that's got a bit different ingredients to Jesus and Nketiah. Would like another centre half or two, someone that can compete with Ben White if he plays there, Gabriel and Saliba, keep them on their toes. And I like holding, but if you could get someone to fill in that holding role, but to a higher level, then great. Ideally, I would like 3 midfielders, centre mids, or at least 2. I'd like a 6 and an 8, really, because, you could kind of phase out El Nene, kind of have him as a squad player, a spare part. Not that he's doing anything wrong. Maybe if Lokonga doesn't show any significant progress from now to the end of the season, look to loan that out. Obviously, they'd be centered around Partey and Xhaka, where you never want either player to get injured, because the other player, like if you lose Xhaka, you lose some of Partey, and if you lose Partey, you lose some of Xhaka, as we've kind of seen at brief occasions this season. They both complement each other very well, and they both, obviously are central to what we're doing. I can't praise them midfielders enough, really. So I do think we need to cover our areas. But as we all know, while there's still a lot of time and variables can shift and things can happen like that, we're the 12th of January. So I could understand if Arsenal fans are getting a bit giggity, people. This report kind of keeps up the Milinkovic Savic stuff, although it's named Newcastle. So Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Newcastle, all interested. Juventus allegedly as well. Newcastle could afford to give him a fat contract. He'd be a statement signing, and they're offering as much as 60 million euros plus bonuses. Lazio, considering you might get a similar fee in the summer, contracted until 2024, or clubs that want to buy Milinkovic Savic will leverage that. They might even say, go, all right, cool, see out your contract at Lazio. You'll still be 27, 28. We might come back in January and try and get him at a cut price, or we might offer you even less. We all know they've anything from 82 to 130 million euros, 120 sort of thing. So is what he's been quoted, and Lazio aren't going to get that, even though they're difficult. So it all depends where he's going to end up. But fundamentally, he's contracted until 2024, and definitely where Lazio are concerned in terms of bringing in money or significant fees, even at a discount, I'm sure they would have made a healthy profit, on what they bought him from, I believe, Genk. I could be wrong in that regards. And he'd get them a lot of money that can help their management or their technical staff balance books or be reinvested. So we'll have to see. Going back to Mudryk, people, Fabrizio Romano has said the player always wanted Arsenal as a priority. So on the player side, nothing has changed. I've seen many rumours in the last 2 or 3 days saying it's almost done. Mudryk to Arsenal. At the moment, it's not done. At the moment, it's negotiations between Arsenal and Shakhtar. They are speaking, they are negotiating. The player wants Arsenal, and that's helping Arsenal in negotiations. They are confident, they are optimistic, but it's not a done deal yet. Arsenal knows that Shakhtar wants 100 million euros from Mudryk. The player wants to go. The player wants to go to Arsenal. The player is obsessed with Arsenal. So there's also this kind of respect for the player. And this is why I feel in the end, they could accept something less than 100 million euros. But as of right now, they are asking for 100 euros. Let me just say, Arsenal are really confident because they're speaking to Shakhtar every single day. They're pushing in negotiations. They are trying to find a way to give Shakhtar what they want, but not guaranteed 100 million euros. Talks ongoing. Arsenal are confident, but it is not done yet. So it's not over until the fat lady sings. Once again, Mudryk is doing up social media antics, and I mean doing up too much social media antics and them TikToks. You better cut that out, cut certain words out of your mouth, because I'll say I didn't see it. You deserve a little slap, but you need to calm it down. Singing to song lyrics and that is sounding a bit fugazi. But I can't lie. If I was a Shakhtar fan, this would irritate me. Like, why coincidentally is Mudryk watching whatever video that is speaking about Mudryk in clearly some makeshift photoshopped Arsenal shirt? I mean, social media Bedina. Imagine if he ever had a bust up from Mikel Arteta. I hope not, people. He's gonna get to chatting really and truly. And that should serve as a warning, because you saw what happened to certain men. Certain men are going Villa. Certain men are getting passed around like a zoo. Chelsea don't even want them. And big up Mesut Ozil. I can't do him dirty. Arsenal and Shakhtar could be getting close to sealing a full agreement for Mudryk. The guaranteed fee will be around 50 to 60 million euros, says Ben Jacobs. And apparently it is important to remember Ben has direct contacts with Mudryk, people. As we know, Ben Jacobs from early had that interview where Mudryk first started his social media antics. I'll be doing a watch along for Chelsea Fulham. João Felix is starting, right? Trying to give the fans a lift, and that I hear it. The talks between Arsenal and Shakhtar are entering in the final stage. Both clubs agree on the overall amount of the transfer fee, around 85 to 90 million euros. So it keeps fluctuating. They're now discussing the balanced fix/add-ons. The next few days will be decisive for this step, says Rudy Galletti, people. Manager believes Arsenal transfer will be resolved by the end of January. Price will be quite decent, people. Allegedly, a famous Ukrainian manager, forgive me, Grozny, I can't pronounce that, has backed Mudryk to Arsenal and believes his move to Emirates will be completed by the end of the month. As we know, the individual has 7 goals and 6 assists in 12 games in the league and has 3 goals and 2 assists in 6 games in the Champions League, people. Arsenal are now pushing. Once again, we know Shakhtar are being notoriously difficult to deal with right now, and we're trying to get a fee. But there is confidence, as numerous outlets are saying. What can be said here? Mudryk wants to go to Arsenal, and Arteta wants to create a Ukrainian connection. Mudryk and Zinchenko on the left flank. He will play right away. Now, in this position at Arsenal, there is no one stronger than Mudryk. We'll have to see, because Martinelli might have something to say about that. A fit Emil Smith-Rowe might have something to say about that. If Eddie Nketiah's performances go all the way, if Jesus was fit tomorrow, Arteta might sit there and say, "Yo, do I put him on the left? Jesus on the left and accommodate Eddie?" But go and create problems. As we said, we need good headaches for Mikel Arteta, which he's had. Do I play Tomiyasu or Tierney? Do I go with Zinchenko? Do I go with Benjamin, Saliba, Gabriel? What do I do in midfield, really? We, by God's grace, we get to a day and age where we're so good that in a nice way, Xhaka and Partey keep playing, but he might slap Odegaard, Zinchenko, Smith-Rowe, Fabio Vieira in the 8 rows, who they all have capacity to do that. And you'd hope Lokonga can fix up, because that gives us a stronger squad, really and truly. We need attacking players. No one will ever give 100 million euros for Mudryk, and do not draw a parallel with Anthony here. He played so much for Ajax and proved himself there. And Mudryk is not yet a known footballer, a dark horse for Europe who shot up this season in the Champions League. He's got 70-odd career appearances, 44 in all comps for Shakhtar, and a couple made up with 2 loans, and he's still only 21, and he's a big fish in a small pond. For all his talent, he's not all the way there yet, or respectfully to Shakhtar, he wouldn't be there anymore. To us ignorant football fans, only became aware of him in the summer because Brentford, Everton, Nice, Arsenal, Sevilla, these kind of clubs were linked with him and have continuously linked with him before Arsenal. And if it's not Arsenal, Chelsea, even though them rumours are dying out as we move closer, have been linked. As for the transfer, I think the issue will be resolved at the end of January, and for the amount that Arsenal wants, the price will be quite decent, but far from what Shakhtar wants. The pitman can outplay themselves. If Mudryk is not sold to Arsenal now, they will not get such a sum for him. I mean, to be fair, last summer they didn't sell him. His price range has shut up. Obviously, if he continues to do that, then maybe Arsenal might say, do you know what, we'll go back for you already. So it appears to be a stick or twist. Or if he feels sorry for himself, has a dip, it's an issue. Obviously, there's been a restart of football in the Premier League, but where, you know, the Ukrainian league's concerned, one thing I'm thinking about is, in a nice way, you know, all our hopes wouldn't be pinned on Mudryk. You've got Martinelli, you've got things like that. If he starts straight away, like João Felix is doing against Fulham today, then great. But if not, you could give us a stronger bench, and sooner rather than later grow into that. And also, we've started football almost straight after the World Cup. Ukraine are, you know, the Ukrainian lads or Ukrainian teams are doing mid-season training. So what's his physical condition? For as much training he's done on social media with his personal trainer and things, how fit is he to start? How fit is he to hit the ground running in January, which is kind of tough for Arsenal, and it's difficult for players to adapt anyways. You know, our very captain Martin Odegaard, some Arsenal fans, nothing wrong with changing your mind, but drew conclusions on Martin Odegaard a bit too prematurely. And look what he's gone on to do, really and truly. And I'm sure there's other case studies of all clubs. Mudryk will be joining Arsenal, will prove massive addition, says Sagna. I don't know why Sagna said that, but he said he'll be joining the club. I think football transfers are a mind game between the buyer and the seller. Shakhtar knows the quality of the player, and they know that Arsenal really want him. I think it will happen, but maybe at the end of the window. Shakhtar will keep pushing and negotiating until the end to get the largest amount for their player, but they'll be aware of the player's desire to join the club, and they won't want to frustrate the player. It's also a massive opportunity for them to make a significant sale, which can be invested into other players. And, you know, Fernandinho, Fred, Willian, Costa, Mkhitaryan, you know, Shakhtar have sold quite a lot of players historically for a decent fee, but haven't really heard any of them from Shakhtar recently. And obviously, check out the video I did with Andrew from Zora London, where he's, you know, a Ukrainian football expert, where we spoke on Arsenal to Mudryk. And he also said there's the element to consider that with what happened, what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, a lot of footballers were allowed to leave. And where Solomon, for example, is concerned and people like that, they weren't able to get fees. So that could be an issue as to why they're pushing that bit better for more bread with where Mudryk's concerned, really. So we'll have to see. Arsenal encouraged an interest for Milinkovic Savic. Allegedly, people, we've seen this already. What Lazio want is a loan fee, along with the loaning club agreeing to an obligation to buy the player when the season concludes. Arsenal may find such an offer appealing, as they are keen to strengthen their options in midfield. Previously, we've seen that they're prepared to take 10 million euros in January with an obligation of another 40, taking it to around 50, discounting it a bit, about 40 odd, which is a decent fee for a 27-year-old. Miguel Delania said Shakhtar Donetsk is insistent on their asking price for Mudryk is due to how much money they lost in potential sales after FIFA ruled that foreign players could leave on a free following Russia's invasion of the country. So we was kind of alluding to that. So when you kind of consider that, it makes it even more difficult. Shout out Uncle Ian and things. Just trying to make sure we haven't got anything, people. But if you didn't know already, apparently for the second consecutive game, Arsenal have been charged by the FA, people, after they failed to ensure its players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion during the 34th minute after a penalty appeal against Oxford United. Well, if the refs did their job in an orderly fashion, I mean, what's going on? It seems like we're being penalised a bit ridiculously with on-field decisions and now this. But we're going to have to keep it up, really and truly, man. You know, it's a blatant penalty. No VAR at Oxford, fair enough. But come on now, lads. It's all that about. It don't make no sense. We've been linked with Pedro Prioro of Sporting Lisbon, who has been more linked with Spurs, who see him as the front runners, and Chelsea have been rumoured to get in there. An attacking right back, 23 years of age, with what's going on with Cedric Suarez, Tomiyasu's injuries, and, you know, having Ben White and Tomiyasu, really. And if Tomiyasu gets injured, you're betting on a lot. Benjamin has looked a bit tired. We'll have to see how that one develops. I don't much buy that, but you lot can if you want. Matt Smith, who you'd be forgiven for forgetting he's at Arsenal, even though he's been on the bench a lot of the time. The 22-year-old probably needs to depart Arsenal. QPR, Stoke City and Swansea City are all competing to sign Matt Smith, who has been on a couple of loans, people. 22 years of age. He needs to depart, really, and set up roots somewhere, even if you go on loan, unless a madness happens, which would be great because we could sell you for more, or an unlikely chance of you breaking into the team, you know. You need to go on loan at 22 years of age, who's only known Arsenal, excluding the loan spells. I could forgive him for wanting to stay. I don't know what your wages are, but they might be better than what these clubs can offer you. But you've been on the bench bare times. You ain't played. You know, Ethan, who's about 7 years of age, respectfully to Ethan, obviously he's not, you know, has made history against Brentford. You ain't played. It's time to keep it moving and set up shops, really. You're playing for the youth sides and that, but Arteta side are now willing to listen to offers both permanent and on loans, and it frees up space. Again, we just kind of focused on talk of centre mid, and I completely forgot about that. But the Championship trio are all interested in pursuing a permanent deal, according to reports from Football Insider, although they are just three of several sides monitoring the midfielder, with clubs in Europe also keen. As stated, he's been on a couple of loans at Charlton Athletic, Swindon Town and Doncaster Rovers, so we'd wish him all the best in that regards. Barcelona are ready to sell Eric Garcia. We have been linked with him, people, but apparently he does not want to leave Barcelona. We've covered that already. Apparently Ruffino is up for sale just 6 months after joining Barcelona, people. Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs have been handed another opportunity to sign Ruffino, with the winger reportedly for sale just 6 months after joining Barca. So it hasn't really worked out. They spent 55 million. If you're any of them London clubs, are you giving them 55 million? You could even say, do you know what, we'll take him on loan with a buy option and call it quits. And you think you can be forgiven for all of those London club stated fans for thinking, yo, we might have dodged a slide bullet here, people. It ain't worked out. As you know, people, there's financial woes in at the La Liga club. They're also prepared to allegedly sell Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati, people. But again, how much are they going to ask? Because neither player, maybe more so Ferran Torres, because he's 4 years younger at 22, 26 years of age, 25. Ruffino should kind of be it right now. He's not necessarily that. And if we get Mudryk, where Arsenal's concerned, unless there's a smart way to get around it, I can't see us bringing in two wingers like that, which I'd be for it. But we were your third choice. You wanted Barca, then you wanted Chelsea, then you wanted us, despite Edu really wanting to try and get in people and things like that. So we could probably forget about that one day, really and truly. And it ain't really worked out for him. Xavi has said he is open to playing where necessary. In fact, we talked a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be important. It's been even more so coming off the bench. He always comes out well. It's going to be important. I have no doubt. So yeah, shout out that, whatever that is. AC Milan are allegedly interested, people. That could be good for him, really and truly. Apparently, their director Maldini's a big fan. Once again, Edu did say in July on Ruffino, I just said to Deco, can you explain to me the situation with Ruffino? And he was clear. Edu, we have a good relationship, but I'm not going to lie to you. His idea is to go to Barcelona because he's dreaming to go to Barca. He's been talking to Barcelona since a long time ago. So would you want to give, if the club say you have to bust out, you have to bust out. But would you really give up on that anytime soon, people? I'll let you lot draw your conclusions. And then he went on to say, okay, thank you so much. If something happens, then just let me know because I can explore and understand the situation. If not, no problem. And we can carry on our relationship, people. It is what it is. Apparently, yes, I told Xavi I think he got it. I want to help the team as much as possible. I told him that I wasn't helping the team on the left. Fair enough. And he's bagged just twice in 15 La Liga games and not necessarily scored. And yeah, he has been stinking up. I don't mind competing with Osimhen on the right. I like that competition, but I'd like to compete in my place where I feel more comfortable at the moment. And then Xavi responded where we just kind of covered prematurely. He's open to playing where necessary. In fact, we talked a couple of weeks ago and, he then said it's going to be important. It's been even more so important coming off the bench. He always comes out well. It's going to be important. I have no doubts. Seems like he's relearning football. Guendouzi's been linked with a move to Aston Villa and apparently Arsenal have a 15% sell-on clause. So we did one good thing, really. Villa are set to pay 35 million. We sold him for 11, so tidy little profit for Marseille. We've been linked with Vlahovic again, people, which I'm not sure any of you really care, neither do I, but apparently we continue to monitor him, and the Gunners believe he's good enough for their squad in London. Yeah, but his agent's done us dirty, isn't it? So that's what's probably made that a myth. Again, for where Arsenal are alleged to have been indisciplined, this was for the handball appeal. And you're seeing some Oxford players are coming out with, some nonsense about match fixing and that. Odegaard has been voted the Premier League Player of the Month for November/December. Shout out the captain, the class, Weesian people. Finally, Arsenal face competition for Milinkovic Savic. Where? Doesn't really say anything there, really and truly. If I'm completely honest with you about competition, there probably will be, But yeah, it is what it is in that regards, people, where the transfer news is concerned. So yeah, we've spoken about Milinkovic Savic. We've spoken about, Mudryk, Matt Smith, a bunch of other things, people. So yeah, if you're not done with your DG fix, please make sure you're checking out the other videos. I've uploaded some others today. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you stay blessed and safe. And make sure you comment so I see your opinions. Stay blessed. I'm out.
There's always that accurate red line. Defenders have been given